to read it. Because I only see it fitting this way. Good morning. Let us begin our shadow work reading. Hello, my name is Yanira Pagan, Janira Pagan, and I'll be reading to you, Turning Within, Reclaiming Your Soul from Shadow. If you've ever felt lost or in the dark, what's the reason? How can you reclaim yourself when you go in the dark, when you lose sight of the light, if you will? How do you turn your lights back on? That's how I interpret it for myself. So we are currently in chapter 7. Chapter 7 from Turning Within by Stephen Tuhig. Fruit of your work. The 3 great directives of the mind. We can break down the coding of the mind to find core directives, the baseline of thought. These directives are the undercut driving your everyday experience. By uncovering and integrating the awareness of these directives, much of the underpinning of suffering and success you experience begins to come into focus. The key to shadow work is awareness. The more aware you become of the way you design your world, the more agency you gain to live the life you desire. Core directives, meaning, elegantly evolve survival, the 3 primary directives of the mind. 1. Meaning. The primary directive of the mind is making meaning. Meaning is the value you borrow or give to your life. It's the building block of your experience. You navigate your life from this dictum as it supersedes, drives, and informs you. Know that the question at the bottom of each question the mind strives to answer: what does this mean? Making meaning is the starting point of all thoughts. But you don't take my word for it. Check your tape. Look at what you have done today. Examine how much of the makeup of your mind has been about making meaning. Step back and look at your narrative and evaluate what you told yourself. What was your mind doing all day? It was making and navigating meaning. Whether good or bad, right or wrong, your mind is designed to make meaning, to enable you to navigate your experience. What were you navigating to? The answer is more meaning. Every meaning made is branched out of a meaning already, layer upon layer upon layer, and often unconsciously leveraged. This new meaning supports the building of the meaning you will grow next. For example, you can't experience being mad without knowing there's something to be mad about. At some point in your life, you gave meaning to mad and applied it to any situation that triggered by that feeling. You are so good at making meaning, you do it in your sleep. Unconsciously, you're doing it right now as you read these words. Please take a pause in your reading right here. Try to clear your mind. Try to stop making meaning just for a second. You can do it. Even the act of trying to pause is making meaning of what the pause means and feels like. Finding purpose in design. When watching a young cat, you can see it practice what it's designed to do. It chases the other cats, hunts, and stalks everything in its environment. As humans, we witness the fundamental attribute of programming of the archetype cat online inside of his four-legged feline friends. They are bred to be predators. It's in their programming. Examine trees. You define a tree by the fruit it bears. An apple tree only makes apples. But what about humans? Do we have a fundamental attribute? What did adults tell us to do when we were kids? Go play. Remember what it was like to play as a kid? What did you spend your time doing? What games did you play? What did you pretend was real? You would design meaning and then live out that meaning as if it were real. Cops and robbers, pirates finding treasure, ballerinas dancing on stage, flying jets across the sky. Many of us survived lava flowing through our living room, jumping from couch to chair. Some of us pretended to be superheroes, activating the hero's journey architecture embedded in our minds. We practice holding meaning in our minds and simply doing what humans are programmed to do. At a young age, we practice what big people do at an extraordinary level. We forgot what we were doing. We hold on to meaning of what it means to be you. Constructs of reality so deeply ingrained that you forgot how you were lying to yourself. You do it on multiple levels. You've woven meaning so tightly that questioning it is impossible because you don't even recognize it's there. Those pretend monsters are forever poised to eat you, materializing as a financial ruin or a relationship, Armageddon. Your universe isn't made up of atoms, it's made up of constructs. This dynamic is one of the core reasons turning within has such a profound impact. Through Jung's concepts of active imagination, you step out of the story you believe to be self evident and step into a more profound realization that empowers you to make the changes you seek. One of the ambiguous fears in a human dynamic is the fear of not being good enough. Activated, this fear will be validated externally by experiencing anything that resembles or is interpreted as a failure. This is especially important to understand because no one is perfect at anything the first time. Learning to walk, learning to talk, learning to dance, learning to play a sport, learning. You navigate life through representations of meaning. These constructs are like holograms from which you then live your life. However, by leveraging your turning within superpower, you can move mountains. If you allow your fear of not being good enough to consume you, you will block access to your genius. This is where the second directive comes in. 2. Elegantly evolve. You experience evolution, a gradual development in every moment and in every facet of your life. It is one of the primary directives of your mind. Everything evolves, and if everything in mind is mine, then by design, your mind must be more evolved and elegant than you could possibly know it to be. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus is credited with the idea that change is the only constant in life. Consider the idea that everything is in a constant state of development or evolution. As author Scott Olson suggests, we can see how we are wired for evolution through the Fibonacci sequence and other patterns that exist in our physical bodies. How could our minds be any different? The mind must follow the same fundamental attributes of everything else in creation. Most people believe that because we can only recall the experience between the bookends of life and death, our individual experience is the only meaning that makes up the river of the story called you. Turning within is an endeavor to dig beyond the surface of your experience. What if there is more to it all? What if you are much more evolved than you could ever know? Don't fall into the trap of thinking your mind just got there. What if meanings you have developed are created in much greater well of meaning that has evolved over billions of years and is still in process? Good morning. Thank you for joining. We are in chapter 7 from the Turning Within book, Reclaiming Your Soul from Shadow. Embodiment, efficiency, and evolution. One of the obstacles the mind has evolved through this embodiment. The brain is the most significant resource consumer of all organs in the body. It takes enormous amounts of energy to process thoughts. Over 20% of your calorie intake, in fact. New ideas are much more energy expansive than old thoughts. New imprints and grooves need to be created. New thoughts are the VIP of thoughts, taking more energy. Our prefrontal cortex is another considerable bottleneck. Your brain can process an estimated 11 bits of sensory information every second, but you are conscious of only around 40 to 50 bits per data per second. What if creation solved our bottleneck by creating an elegant way to present itself? Consider that once a meaning is made, it's held against other meanings to see if it lines up. This process is called confirmation bias. When meanings line up, they begin the journey to calcify belief. Beliefs are then stored in the default mode network of the mind, or DMN. You experience the present moment in a construct formed by a collaborative or previously made constructs. Your conscious thought is your creation. We believe what we are programmed to believe, and you are the creator. Never forget that. You are the creator of your own reality. Like zip flies of meaning waiting to be leveraged, these files hold meaning and are how you interact with the outside world. This elegant solution to the creation process and a powerful tool to navigate life is how you drive and think at the same time. You both evolve and experience evolution. This ability to leverage evolution is one of the human's superpowers. Evolution is the great and therefore, which I call and so, the and so effect. Your life challenge is initiated when meaning blocks your evolution, causes too much suffering, or the previous meaning inhibits you from living life. To check its work, the mind projects a shadow of the suffering rooted construct onto your present experience. Then your goal is to unlearn and relearn new ways to experience the present moment. Unacknowledged, it manifests as cycles of suffering experienced over and over. We are like toddlers driving the most advanced navigation equipment in creation. When you're stuck in a cycle, it's because you are somehow wrestling with the shadow of a construct your mind is trapped in. When we finally grasp this and acknowledge it, we can finally begin to mature our understanding of the vehicle called the human mind. We can clean up the mess and recreate our creation. Number 3, survival or self preservation. The bookends of life and death create another directive: survival and self preservation. It's not that the mind is built to survive. The mind makes meaning based on its limited perspective. The primary perceived limitation presents while living is the end of life. This challenge has been compounded over the collective existence of mankind for eons. Most of mankind's existence was hand to mouth. If someone had a good day, maybe they shared some extra berries with those they cared for and loved. On a bad day, they could result in a game over thanks for playing. Lifetime over lifetime, generation after generation, the mind became hijacked to anticipate and focus on the danger life possessed. The toddler society. Add the reality that human beings have only lived in our current society for around 7,000 years, and then you understand what survival rooted programming in your mind is made of. Although a T Rex isn't chasing you, your mind is still conditioned to anticipate the chase through the calcified meaning made over countless lives. Because believing is seeing, your advanced mind upgrades the deeply rooted algorithms to the modern world. The chase arises from the risk of losing a relationship or being financially devastated or being physically attacked. The distant dinosaur is now transformed into the intangible weight of the impending doom. The mind reasons that too much pain equates to death, so pain should be avoided. When you experience pain, your mind creates strategies to avoid whatever you decide caused it. Shadow work cleans your looking glass and rewrites lifetimes of misinformed, survival rooted, or trauma informed meaning. We can move past our survival rooted mode only when we work to get under our established programming. By learning to face our suffering, you get a glimpse of something past the surface of thought and recode the meaning you live out of. Again, if this is true individually, the same should hold true collectively. The experiment is to see if we can shift the collective. Can individual work rewrite our survival rooted programming at a collective level in a way that changes how society values and experiences life? If your individual projections are a manifestation of the collective shadow being presented to you intimately, then I believe the work you do individually has a marked impact overall. I believe it does. I believe when I heal, you heal. And I believe when you heal, I heal. Rules to practice by. Sitting with my turning within practice for over 20 years, I've learned to use specific rules to help unravel the mess I could find myself in. What ifs created a buffer just big enough for me to get a second chance before getting sucked into a story. I needed to make rules because I kept forgetting. Interestingly, the root word for human being in Arabic is to forget. These rules help us develop a deeper faith in our mind than the surface level faith you use to cover up your fear of inadequacy. They act as a symbol on the map, yet they're not the map or the terrain. They're not the dogma. That's what they are meant to avoid. Every practice has a set of rules or guidelines. These are principles you can leverage to deepen your practice depending on your understanding. To make your practice more impactful and improve the integration of your practice in the real world. The four rules of shadow work. In the journey of self discovery, one of the most transformative processes we can engage in is shadow work, the practice of delving into the deep consciousness to unlock the structure of our being. In turning within, we embrace this journey with the unique approach, guided by four fundamental rules that serve as a reference point to help us do the work. These rules are not just principles to understand, they are lenses through which we can deeply engage with our inner world. Let's explore these pillars, each a beacon illuminating the path to true self awareness and transformation. Thank you. Appreciate that. Number one, we lie to ourselves first. That's the first rule of shadow work. The first pillar confronts us with a stark but liberating truth. We lie to ourselves first. This isn't about deliberate deception or malice, but a fundamental aspect of our human experience. From our earliest moments, our minds, in their quest to make sense of the world, constructs narratives. These narratives, while essential for our survival and functioning, often lead us away from our authentic selves. In the theater of our mind, we are both the playwright and the lead actor, often enacting scripts based on past experience, societal conditioning, and inherited beliefs. These scripts dictate our reactions, relationships, and even our sense of self worth. By acknowledging that we lie to ourselves, we start peeling back the layers of these narratives, revealing the core of our true being. This realization is the starting point of shadow work. It's an invitation to question our deepest convictions about who we are and to challenge the stories we've been telling ourselves. As we turn within, we learn to differentiate the voice of our authentic self from our internalized scripts and society expectations. Number 2, there are no accidents in shadow work. In other words, everything happens for a reason. The second pillar reminds us of a powerful nature of our experience. There are no accidents in shadow work. Every encounter, every challenge, and every joy we experience is a thread in the intricate tapestry of our lives. These threads, when woven together, reveal a pattern, a purpose, and a direction. Turning within, we begin to see the threaded connections between seemingly random events in our lives. We understand that our most challenging experiences are often our greatest teachers. This perspective fosters resilience and empowers us to face life's challenges with a sense of purpose and openness. In the theater of life, every character we meet, every scene we encounter, is there for a reason. There are mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves, opportunities for growth, and invitations to deepen our understanding of who we are. By embracing this rule, we move from a place of victimhood to one of empowerment, recognizing our role in co creating our life's story. Number 3, every charge begins and ends with me. At the core of shadow work is the principle that every emotional charge, every reaction, feeling, and emotion begins and ends with us. This rule invites us to take ownership of our emotional landscape. It encourages us to look inward whenever we are triggered, to explore the underlying reasons of our reactions. This inward journey reveals much about our unhealed wounds, unmet needs, and unresolved conflicts. It shows us how our present emotions and are often entangled with our past experiences. influencing how we perceive and interact with the world. In theater, our emotions, we are not just passive spectators, but active participants. We have the power to change the script, to respond rather than react. This shift requires mindfulness and willingness to sit with our emotions and the courage to delve into their origins. By mastering this rule, we transform ourselves when we transform our emotional response from unconscious reactions to conscious choices. Number 4, black hole sun. The final pillar, black hole sun, addresses the self reinforcing nature of our mental construct. It speaks to the tendency of our minds to create and get trapped in cycles of thought and belief that reinforces themselves over time. This rule invites us to examine the patterns and cycles in our lives. It asks us to question the belief and assumptions that drive these patterns. Are they truly reflective of who we are, or remnants of old scripts and outdated narratives? In the theater of our mind, we often find ourselves playing roles that no longer serve us. We repeat the same scenes, expecting different outcomes, unaware that we are following a script written by our past selves, society, or our families. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in breaking free from them. It allows us to rewrite our narratives, choose different roles, and create new, more fulfilling life stories. The Cosmic Insight Joke, a journey beyond belief. In the vast tapestries of our lives, interwoven with beliefs and narratives, some moments stands out, moments of profound clarity that reshape our understanding of reality. I recall a conversation with a client and a friend and a fellow traveler on this journey to self-discovery, who shared a dream that became a threshold moment. Every hero's journey has a pivotal moment where the hero stands at the precipice of change. This moment, often referred to as a threshold moment, is a turning point, propelling the hero into a new phase of their journey. It's a moment of profound realization and sudden clarity. Previously held beliefs of perception are challenged, leading to transformational growth. Threshold moments can be both subtle and monumental. They might come as a chance to encounter a dream or loss, or even a simple realization during a quiet moment of reflection. Regardless of their origin, these moments are characterized by a significant internal shift. They act as doorways, leading us from one state of being or understanding to another. They are often accompanied by a surge of emotion ranging from exhilaration to fear. The power of threshold moments lies in their ability to disrupt our status quo. They can be redefined the very structure of how we make sense of reality. They can redefine aspects of ourselves. They can alter beliefs we might have previously ignored or even been unaware of. In doing so, threshold moments offer an opportunity to grow, evolve, and step closer to our true selves. Good morning. Thank you for joining. We are reading How to Reclaim Your Soul from Shadow. The river of the story called you. Your body is floating down the river of the story called you in a boat called now. From the perspective of Chronos times, you've been drifting down this river since birth. Notice where the boat is called. Now is the river of the story of you. Do you feel as though you've been on this river for a while? How far down the river are you? Are you just starting? In the flow of time, where is the boat called now? Pause to notice if you are in the deep of your life, or are you about to turn around? Is the water calm, or does the storm rage? How clear is the water? Are you able to peer down into your depths, or is the water toxic and murky? Is there enough fish to feed you? How fast does the flow of the river feel? Maybe there are rapids ahead, or perhaps you are in the rapids now. Are there any wakes? Are they menacing? Do you feel as though you're constantly trying to paddle upstream against the current? Where is the boat called now in if your life were a mighty river? Take a moment to allow this metaphor to build in your mind before you move on from here. At this moment, think of a significant life traumatic event or high stress moment, a storm in your life. When in the face of it, going through the experience, you may have experienced a sensation similar to the boat about to fall over a waterfall or run aground. Maybe for you, it's a fear of falling off the ship or breaking up in the rapids. Like a knot in a muscle after too much stress, your mind knots up. Your risk manager comes online. This identity lives in you, is always scanning for trouble. However, that fantastic voice has saved you from far more than you can ever know. You lighten up or you tighten up, drop an anchor, and immediately seek a safe harbor. Make this stop, you shout, scrambling to survive the storm. Your risk manager took harbor and dropped anchor. At some quantum level, your boat is stuck or imprinted there. Yet, notice how some part of you stay back where the storm never ends. That part of you took root at a quantum level. However, time continued to flow, though in the physical world, you continue to float down the rivers of the story of you because the mind has a mind of its own. It's built to survive. It creates a flow to avoid pain. It wants to avert anything and everything that hints of pain. The mind concludes pain equals death. It seeks to protect your mortality. The construct, the boat called now, rudders away from dangerous shores. When the mind creates a construct, one built to avoid painful moments, then a split can happen. As a part of you sits back there in a waiting room, waiting for your pain, it's a sacrifice to the time when a part of you became an orphan, abandoned by you, and left in its wounds. The mind is now both navigating from the wound and simultaneously denying the very thing which is causing the pain. A false self emerges. Now you experience life through avoidance. The shadow comes online to protect you. Concurrently, your mind forgets how it is the root cause of the construct. How this impacts now. Part of you unconsciously took harbor upstream due to the storm. This may leave you feeling the existence of a life half lived. Your life experience now becomes more difficult to navigate. Pause and notice how your anchors are now impacting your ability to navigate your ship. Notice how echoes of past moments are trapped inside. Notice how do they affect you? How much energy work controls does it resist succumbing to the urge to jump from the ship? How to triggers limit your ability to see clearly what's right in front of you? Consider how many harbored ships you manage at any given time. Notice the amount of your resources are allocated to address the impact of harboring due to your past. Notice how those echoes have programmed you to navigate your ship now. Notice how your risk manager is running scenarios all the time. The scenarios are based on those harbored ships, like artificial intelligence with access to only doom related equations. All it sees is troubled waters. That is your risk manager's job. Let's pause and get curious. Without judgment, ask yourself how much of the makeup of your narrative is unconsciously identified from the scenario that mirrored back there. Permit yourself to notice that a part of you is always there. There is a part of you that doesn't feel your age. Notice now how that part of you never felt their age. Albert Einstein once wrote, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly present illusion," he said. Time, in other words, is an illusion. When you dig beneath your experience, you understand his words. False, capital letters PHALTS. False. The mind makes meaning. That's the gig. When we feel uncomfortable, the body's trying to tell us something. The challenge, an opportunity occurs. We mistranslate what we were experiencing based on shadow. To gain clarity, we need to check the gauges to get an accurate reading. One of those tools, some in recovery world use the acronym HALT, HALT. This handy acronym reminds us to take a moment to halt and ask ourselves if we feel hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It seems simple enough, and yet we become susceptible to self destructive behaviors when these basic needs are unmet. Unfortunately, hunger, anger, loneliness, tiredness are easy to address and serve as a warning system before you reach a breaking point. In further contemplation, turning within adds bookends to the halt process to add awareness to something we all seem to be managing. P is for pain and faults, and S is for stress. Pain is an unavoidable part of the human experience. The human body is magnificent and fragile. The centrus stimulus we humans are all programmed to avoid is pain. However, pain can color our narrative and rewrite the best experience into a horror plot. Sometimes, just acknowledging your pain and any associated condescending feeling may be enough to break out of the trance and provide you with the space to respond to the pain stimulating stimulation rather than reacting out of pain. If that isn't enough, then the pain needs to be managed in a way which allows you to maintain the authorship of your narrative. It is your responsibility to yourself, an act of self love to maintain authorship of your narrative. It can begin with basic behaviors. For example, hunger can be a physical or emotional need. Understanding the need to eat is relatively straightforward. However, you should remind yourself not to just eat, but to eat well. Meeting nutritional needs allows your body to operate at the highest potential and helps you maintain good feelings. When we assess our situation, we can describe a hunger for less tangible things such as affection, accomplishment, and understanding. Hunger can also be a longing of the soul. To ease hunger, do not turn to destructive habits or negative people. This will not fill the physical or emotional emptiness that you're feeling. This is why having a support system is so important. Finding something wholesome to eat with a good friend or a loved one, spending time with those who love you will give you food for your soul and may ease the emotional hunger you feel. Let's examine anger. Anger is a normal, healthy emotion to experience, yet, it's essential to take pause to understand what is causing your anger and then to know how to express it adequately and appropriately. Perhaps you're angry with the situation or a person or yourself. It might be one little thing spinning out of control or an ongoing event. No matter which one is bothering you, assess whether or not you can confront what angers you. Calmly talk to the person with whom you have an issue or fix your problem. If what angers you is beyond your control or you aren't ready to confront the issue, try to express yourself in other ways. For example, like exercising, punching a pillow, or even cleaning are, are active ways to eliminate the excess anger that can be produced. Creative projects such as painting, singing, or writing might be more compelling activities for you to dispel your anger. Meditation or prayer are ways for you to calm yourself anywhere and at any time. Finally, talking to someone not involved in the situation may be beneficial. It may help you think through your anger. Regardless of how you expel your anger, start by acknowledging it, then reflect upon its cause, leaving you to release your anger in a constructive and not destructive way. Another emotion to examine is loneliness. It can occur whether you are alone or surrounded by many people. Often we isolate when we don't feel as though others understand us, withdrawing into self out of fear or doubt. Being alone is a self imposed situation. If you're feeling lonely, pause, ask yourself if you have contacted anyone lately. Your support system is there when you feel depressed, overwhelmed, or anxious, or need someone to talk to. Find ways to cultivate energy in ways that are comfortable for where you are beginning. We received a lot of energy by being around others, even when it feels tough to do something. Call someone, run an errand, go for a walk, or go get coffee. Begin to monitor how you feel before and after and reflect on the shifts in your energy. Again, don't be afraid to bring in professional help when needed. Another physical sensation linked to our emotional is tiredness. Tiredness takes a toll on your body, mind, and spirit. When our days are filled with go, 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 such as errands, meetings, and activities, we ignore how tired we become. However, running on low energy compromises our ability to think and our capacity to cope. Noticing your faults is particularly important when you are tired. Satisfying the physical need to sleep, rest, and rejuvenate is critical to maintaining physical, emotional, and spiritual health. A good night's sleep or a power nap may be all you need to change your outlook for the day. If your day is particularly hectic, take a short break to listen to music, walk, or take a deep breath. Build into your schedule time for rejuvenation. Take a trip to your favorite park, movie theater, or restaurant. Recharging your body, mind, and spirit will help you overcome challenging moments. Stress is becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger part of our society. According to the American Institute of Stress, about 33% of people report feeling extreme stress. 77% of people experience stress that affects their physical health. 73% of people have stress that impacts their mental health. 48% of people have trouble sleeping because of stress. Unfortunately, for about half of all Americans, stress levels are getting worse instead of better. Global organizations for stress reports that 75% of Americans experience moderate to high stress levels. Stress is the number one health concern of high school students. It's too young. 80% of people feel stressed at work. It's work. Faults will serve as a reminder of how signals can misinterpret from the inside. Take a moment to check in with yourself and ask, am I in pain? Too hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or stressed? Assessing how you feel takes a moment. Doing so will help you put the signals you feel into perspective. It may help alleviate the gravity of the shadow has on you, just as breath is all you need to dive down and see where you're stuck in shadow. Realizing you feel uncertain, uncomfortable, or unsteady because you haven't slept or eaten well will help you regain your agency. As a shadow practitioner, faults are a great place to see where we all fall into default patterns of suffering. These threshold moments become powerful opportunities to break free. Suffering is sacred. Yes, you're tired and hungry. Yes, that is the reason you were short with someone or even yourself. Yes, you pushed your mind, your body, and spirit beyond your energy limit to overwhelm. However, you can use this threshold of shadow to do work. Pull the thread of the stories where you're stuck. Then maybe next time, tired can just be tired. Hungry can just be that, hungry. You don't have to live out of suffering in the loop after loop where you've been caught. Remember, your suffering moments are the direct result of your story brought into that drive, your suffering, and keep you anchored there. Chapter 7 is concluded. These are long chapters. That took me about 45 minutes for one chapter. Take a short break, or we can conclude here. Thank you, everyone that's joined. I appreciate everybody's support. I think I'm going to pause this here.